It's time to do better because it's time to do more. I'm Jeff Sykes.
That's the sound of the police.
The show is called The Manuscript. And this is Jeff Sykes Motivation. Let's get started. This is episode 2, part 1, The Black and the Blue. 21173 CT. I'll say it again. 21173 CT. 2 because I'm a black man. 11 because I was born in November. 73 because that was my birth year. CT because I was born in Connecticut. That was my last 7. So I said early on that I wanted to make sure that we go ahead and get out in front of what it is that I feel I've been through that gives me even permission to speak on this subject. And that's part of it. So I got a couple of stats that I want to go ahead and get out in front. And this is from the 2020 Police Violence Report. Last year, there were plus or minus 1,200 killings by the police. Of that number, of that 1,200, about 86 people were killed in what started out as a traffic stop. 109 of that same number had some type of mental health crisis. 100 people were unarmed, and yes, let's just go ahead and be upfront about it. Most of the unarmed people killed by the police were people of color. These are numbers, don't get mad at me, these are the numbers. But here's the breakdown of those numbers. 31 were black, 19 were Hispanic, 3 was Asian Pacific Islander, 7 unknown, and this is where it really gets crazy. 39 of those people that were killed by the police were white. So when we start talking about statistics as well, 80 to 90% of black men being killed will be at the hands of another American black man. And 52% of those will be by somebody they knew. I wanted to make sure I go ahead and put those stats out there up front, because I was talking to my wife, Jen, the mayor, and so I had to explain to her and make sure she understood that this episode is not about me crucifying the police. That's not what this is. It is, however, about me sharing what I went through and what some of the people that I know have gone through in their interactions with the police, and what can we do as a community, and what can the police do on their end as well to make things, whereas there isn't 1,200 people being killed. I mean, at the end of the day, that's still a high number. So let's see if we can't shrink some of those margins down. I cannot say that all cops are bad. There's no way I'm going to say that. When I think of police officers, there's 2 that come to mind. I'm not going to say their names because I didn't get their permission. But they both were with the police department. And I picked their brains as far as each respectively, or I had their brains picked. And I can say this right here about both. I have the utmost respect for both of those guys. Those guys are stand-up guys, and yeah. One of those guys are white. And I would not let anybody say that he is one of those guys, or he was one of those cops. I mean, I didn't know him when he was a cop, but how I know him now, I do not believe that he was one of those guys that's gonna bust in or just start shooting black guys. No, I don't see that happening. I can't. No, I can't. The guy's a black guy, but we're still looking at a lot of the things that's happened and more recent in the news of blacks killing blacks. As far as black officers killing black guys. So in my time where I got into most of my trouble was early 90s, mid 90s. So things were not as evolved as they are right now. In the time frame that we grew up in, as far as kids, there were towns that you guys still that we call progressive right now that were sundown towns. Holly Springs, Apex were fucking sundown towns in the fucking late 70s, early 80s. We were told as kids that when you start driving, if you are going to one of those towns, oh my God, Johnston County, are you fucking kidding me? Really? No, get the fuck out of here. No, we were all told that if you're going to any of these towns right here, make sure you got your ass there where you needed to be before dark. And don't leave that house until daybreak. I just recently, maybe in the past, maybe 6 years or so, give or take, that I'm okay with leaving Clayton at night. Nah, man. No. I was also told as a kid, and this is something my mom told me, and this was shared with her while she was growing up. When you start driving, and also bear in mind too, guys, we're deep into the new millennium, and there's a lot of we have a lot of access to a lot of things that we did not have access to back in the 90s, and of course, obviously prior to that. But mom used to say to us, if the cops ever get in behind you, if they can identify you, you're stupid to run. You're stupid to run. You're asking for trouble. What she told us was that if you're driving and they get in behind you and they hit those lights, just know they got your plate by then. But if you're in one of those sundown towns, or if you're concerned about what your safety may be, she said to us, you put on your hazard lights, you roll down your window, you point forward, and you break that thing down to like 35, 40 miles an hour. And you drive until you come to a very well lit area. Period. That's the same thing I told Jade when she was younger, when she started getting ready to drive. But like I said, now we're in this day and age, where we have access to a lot of other things. And what I do now as an American black is that if I get pulled, bro, I'm FaceTiming somebody. And we're all about to have this conversation. I'm going to put my phone where you can still see, but we're all about to have this conversation. The conclusion of this episode will be aired tomorrow. Thank you. I'm Jeff Sykes. The show is a manuscript, and this is Jeff Sykes Motivation.